Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So we have some breaking news regarding SJSU. An associate head coach has filed a complaint. It's a 33-page sworn declaration with officials at SJSU, the Mountain West Conference, and the NCAA. And she's calling for them to investigate favoritism towards the transgender player, Blaire Fleming. She's saying that this person has been put before all the other players, all the female players. It's an Australian publication, Quillette, that obtained these documents. And they report that this was issued on the 29th of October. Alyssa Batie-Smoose, she's the associate head coach of the SJSU women's volleyball team. Given her close daily interaction with the Spartan players and university administrators, there is arguably no one better placed within the program to explain the effects of Fleming's presence on the team's internal social dynamics and on-court performance. So this is absolutely huge. First we had a player on the team itself speaking out, Brooks Lusser, and joining the lawsuit against the NCAA. And now we have an associate head coach speaking out. So the sworn declaration calls upon these organizations to investigate, number one, the overt favoritism that she believes her school has shown to Fleming at the expense of Fleming's 18 female teammates, and two, the unsettling measures that SJSU officials have allegedly taken in order to suppress expressions of concern from these affected women. In both respects, Batie-Smoose alleges that the behaviour of the SJSU officials, including her own direct boss, Spartans head coach Todd Kress, whose position on these issues has reportedly alienated him from many of his players, may violate Title IX, the US civil rights law that prohibits sex-based discrimination in federally funded education programs. So this is not a court case or anything like that. This isn't part of the court case with the NCAA, although now I definitely think they should call her as a witness. But this is a complaint that she has filed, which she has a right to do, and it is based on what she has observed. And she wants these organizations to look into this. It's very brave of her, it really is. So Batie-Smoose joined SJSU in January 2023 along with Kress, whom she had known since 2006, when they worked together on the volleyball coaching staff at Florida State University. Both arrived as highly respected industry veterans with numerous NCAA accolades. Neither one of these coaches, to be fair, had anything to do with Blaire Fleming joining the team. It was the previous coach, Trent Kirsten. Trent Kirsten now serves in the same role at another Division I school. It was only after arriving in San Jose in early 2023 that Batie-Smoose learned that her new team had a male-to-female transgender player on its roster. The coach later found out that this had been no oversight on the part of the administrators who had interviewed and hired her. SJSU has a policy of withholding such information from all newly recruited staff and athletes. So in the complaint, she's saying that new students who joined the team and even new staff were basically kept in the dark about this. They were not told that there was a male player on the team. So she joins the team as the associate head coach in 2023, early 2023, and by autumn, she has noticed the differences with Fleming, and she begins suspecting that this player isn't female. She had her suspicions as soon as she saw this player on the court. Fleming reportedly didn't begin explicitly self-describing as transgender among fellow team members until April 2024. Remember, Brooks said that she was unaware and she found out because she overheard other female players talking about it, referring to someone being a dude, having a dude on the team. This is what she heard and this is how she found out. The school didn't tell her. And you can imagine the female players who were unaware probably had their suspicions when they saw this person play as well. That's probably how they found out. And it wouldn't surprise me if that's when Fleming was forced to start identifying as transgender, because most people became aware of it. Over a 3-decade career as a coach and recruiter in women's volleyball, Batie-Smoose had seen few women who possessed anything close to Fleming's level of raw physical power. Fleming was relatively undisciplined and sometimes listless. Batie-Smoose reports, but what stood out was spiking the ball and blocking on the front row due to Fleming's leaping ability and hitting power, which far exceeded that of any player in the Mountain West Conference. So Quillette also reached out to Todd Kress. Todd Kress has been quite vocal when it comes to these forfeits, expressing his opinion on these forfeits. But when it came to Quillette, he didn't want to respond. But by Batie-Smoose's account, Kress originally seemed to share her concerns as to whether it was appropriate for biological male volleyball players to compete on women's teams. His attitude reportedly changed in abrupt fashion, however, when Kress was given strict orders on the subject from the school's athletics department. Sadly, many of the adults have simply sold out. They've simply sold out and are going along with this because they want to protect their interests. Some may say it's cowardice. Others may say they have no choice. This is their careers. And unfortunately, this is what the state of California has allowed. This is what the NCAA has allowed. And a lot of people are willing to go along with it just for an easier life, I guess. But I absolutely believe that initially he had the same concerns, because anybody with eyes and ears who can see what's going on would have concerns. It's obvious that this person is male. It's obvious that this person is different from the female athletes. There are consequences for allowing male athletes to compete in women's volleyball. There are consequences to that. And I'm sure the coaches are well aware. Some will have the courage to speak out, while others will just go along with the facade. In this regard, a name that comes up often in the Title IX complaint is Laura Alexander, an Assistant Director of Student Wellness at SJSU, with jurisdiction over the school's volleyball program. According to Batie-Smoose, Kress told her that Alexander had said anyone opposed to Fleming's inclusion on the women's team should leave SJSU and seek therapy. Where have we heard that before?
And actually, Leah Thomas's teammates, who dealt with this every single day all year, when they expressed their discomfort to their administration and they sent an email, and I swear I have a screenshot of their response, their administration responded back with, if you feel uncomfortable seeing male genitalia, here's some counseling resources that you should seek.
Batie-Smoose reports that Kress began bending over backwards to accommodate Fleming, who reportedly often took liberties with the team's dress code and practice schedule, as well as the baseline behavioural standards that Kress applied to the rest of the team. This claimed double standard is one of the major themes of Batie-Smoose's complaint. It's the major theme in general when it comes to allowing male athletes in women's sports. The male athletes are the ones who receive preferential treatment. Their concerns and their wants and desires are always put first, at the expense of the female athletes who are actually in the correct category, who are doing what they're supposed to be doing. She said that Fleming was chosen over a female athlete and was given preferential treatment over her. She said Todd Kress refused to renew her scholarship. He refused to renew the scholarship of the female athlete, so she was forced off the program because she couldn't pay her tuition out of pocket. She now plays in another state. And it's not surprising that she says there is a climate of fear and self-censorship. Women are afraid to speak out about what they're truly experiencing while having a male player on their team. She said it's because Brooke Slusser came forward and joined Riley Gaines in the lawsuit that other girls are now speaking out.
I fully support every school that is deciding to find the courage, take the stand to not play against us, because those are the steps in the right direction of women standing up and finding that courage to say, no, this isn't okay. And people want to say, why didn't people do this the past 2 years? Blaire's been at SJSU for the past 2 years. But again, it's so many people above you as a young woman telling you, just do what you're told in sports. Put your head down, work hard. That's it. Don't complain. And so I think it's just amazing to see that there's these young women that are finally deciding to use their voice and take a stand and have that courage to be like, no, this isn't okay and I'm done.
It tells you how powerful it is when women have the courage to speak out. Not only will it help you, it will help others. So now more women are speaking out. But prior to this, there was certainly a sense of fear that had essentially been instilled in these female athletes. Everyone involved with the SJSU women's volleyball team seems to have been scared to even mention the fact that Fleming is transgender, despite also being required to pretend that Fleming's biological male status is athletically inconsequential. You can't even mention the fact that this person is male. We've seen this in action. Even people who are part of the administrative team are acting like it's no big deal that Fleming is male, are acting like we don't have categories in sports for a reason. There's definitely a disconnect there, where people don't seem to be in touch with reality. Well, apparently that's how you have to behave if you want to get by. An official from the school's Central Communications Office was enlisted to repeatedly instruct volleyball team members that this was Blaire's story to tell, and Blaire's story alone. So if you acknowledge that somebody is male, you're outing the person. No doubt that's how they put it. Batie-Smoose, she did initially go along with it, as people do, but when she started to see the clear differences, the undeniable advantage that this player has over the female athletes, she could no longer go along with it. She began to have second thoughts as evidence grew that Fleming's presence on the court might not only be unfair to other athletes, but possibly dangerous as well. So in mid-October, Fleming blasted a kill shot off the head of an opponent, knocking her to the ground. At a recent tournament in Iowa, Fleming downed a member of the University of Delaware squad in similar fashion. So she said, "It was clear to me that the Delaware player was very athletic and skilled, but simply had no chance to protect herself from the spike." In her Title IX complaint, the coach reports that even defenders on Fleming's own team, concerned for their safety, now sometimes turn away during practice matches when Fleming is winding up for a kill. A fear response that she describes as virtually unheard of in women's volleyball. So apparently in July 2024, Brooke Slusser and Brooke Bryant, co-captains on the team, they went to a tournament, and when they came home, they were telling the coaches that people had been talking about Fleming, and they warned the coaches that some of the girls, some of the other volleyball players from different states, they said that they were not going to play against Fleming, that they were threatening already to forfeit. But the coaches thought it would blow over, that it would be no big deal. Press reportedly became agitated and brusquely dismissed the prospect of teams following through with such threats. And obviously we know the rest. Up to 5 teams have refused to play against SJSU. And this coach also revealed that the issue with their scholarships is huge. Like, that is the one thing that they're concerned about, is losing their scholarships being in jeopardy. She said repeated instructions by SJSU administrators not to speak about Blaire Fleming caused student athletes on the team to fear that they could lose their scholarships or be removed from the team if they spoke outside of a team meeting about Fleming's sex. Apparently, the female athletes aren't very enthusiastic when Fleming scores, when Fleming makes all these kills and performs well on the court. They're not too enthusiastic because they're thinking it's at the expense of the female players. It's at the expense of the safety of other female players. And according to these papers, the coach, Todd Kress, isn't too happy about that. Both women who spoke to Quillette were unapologetic, however. "I don't cheer on that ish," one told me bluntly. "If we lose, it's not fun. But if we win, it's not fun either. Even if we win it all at the end of the season, you'd think I want that ring? The whole thing will be tainted." Wow. I encourage you to read this article because people have really been kept in the dark of the realities of what these female athletes have been through, of the realities of what they're going through. The female athletes and anybody who opposes this. The culture of fear, threats, and gaslighting, belittling, telling you that you should seek therapy, telling you that you're wrong for not going along with this insanity. They want people to go along with what they know to be wrong. That's it. So I really hope that more people become aware of this complaint, because this complaint is very revealing. This complaint is very damning towards Mountain West, NCAA, and San Jose State University. If they want to save their credibility and their reputation, they're going to need to take this complaint very seriously. They're going to need to address this once and for all. This all comes down to transgender athletes being as part of a protected class. And that's what these athletes and coaches and administrators have been told. So on October 24, Peter Lynn, the SJSU Athletics Department's interim Title IX and Gender Equality Officer, delivered a 90-minute presentation to the Spartans audience in which he explained that trans-identified athletes such as Fleming are members of a protected class under Title IX's provisions. And Batie-Smoose says that she felt that this person was talking directly to her. She felt the stare of the presenter's eyes during these proceedings, suggesting she constituted his intended audience. So Quillette also obtained an email that was forwarded from Todd Kress. And it basically implies or threatens the possibility of Brooke Slusser being thrown off the team, stripped of her scholarship and her team captaincy. So this is part of the email obtained by Quillette. A person, Slusser, has a constitutional right as an individual to join or file a lawsuit challenging another person's right to play a sport. That player does not have a right as a team member to lie on public media about danger posed by the teammate in an attempt to ban the teammate from playing or to cause the team as a whole to, in effect, forfeit its remaining games, knowing other schools will act like blockheads. The school, and you as a coach, along with the athletic director, I presume, have the discretion to decide that Slusser is knowingly harming her teammate and the volleyball team and should lose her playing position, co-captain position, and her scholarship. It is apparent that Slusser's mother and her daughter feel hatred towards trans people. The school should stop facilitating the public display of that hatred. That tells you what these young girls are up against. That's exactly what this tells you. So when people wonder why women don't speak out, we know the reason. The people in authority are saying things to them behind the scenes. They have threats hanging over their heads, threats of losing their scholarships, play against a team with a male player, or potentially lose your scholarship. For many, that doesn't seem like much of a choice. I really feel for these women that they have to deal with this. Those who oppose this, who are right there in the thick of it, I really feel for them. And it makes it more commendable that they have the courage to speak out. But we need to keep talking about this. We need to keep exposing these people for what they're doing to these female athletes who should be having the time of their lives at the moment. They shouldn't be dealing with lawsuits. They shouldn't be put in fear for their safety. There is nothing deceptive about saying that a female athlete is more likely to get injured when competing against somebody who is male. That's not deception, that's fact. These women are not doing anything wrong by talking about their safety. They have a right to talk about their safety and their concerns. And to be threatened with losing a scholarship, to be called hateful for stating fact, it's not hateful for a female athlete to not want to compete or play with a male athlete. That's not hateful. And it's the same old labels that they give people. They label people hateful for living in reality, for stating fact. For acknowledging the truth, they will label you hateful. People need to know exactly what they're putting our female athletes through on these college campuses. People need to know the repercussions of changes to Title IX. It's directly discriminating against women. So go and read this article and let me know what you think. And thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves and God willing, I will see you in the next video.